G'day mates, our dear friends over at Philips have been caught with their hand in the cookie jar once again. Dutch medical supplier Philips to pay more than $62 million to settle charges. I won't go into the full story. Basically, over in China they've been bribing hospitals and doing all sorts of dodgy shit with tenders. Anyway, they've agreed to pay $62 million. Every 2 or 3 years they get fined with some sort of corruption scandal. But I want to tell you a story that happened about 12 years ago, and it gives you a great insight into the character of this company. Here we go. Hi, my name is Jose Maziero, and I'm an ex-Philips whistleblower. This is my story. It all started back in 2010 when I was a top logistics and supply chain executive working for Philips in Brazil. I liked my job, and I was damn good at it. However, my life was turned upside down when I took a closer look at 3 large contracts awarded by Brazil's health ministry. These deals included Philips heart defibrillators and were worth about $40 million. I couldn't understand why Philips did not compete directly for these massive government contracts. Instead, the contracts were won by a little medical firm called Rizzi Commercial. I was in charge of getting the Philips defibs to the contract winner Rizzi when I was astonished to find that the Rizzi address was a tiny little storefront with peeling purple paint in a rundown neighbourhood in Sao Paulo. Something didn't seem right, so I decided to take a closer look at the invoice, and it just didn't make any sense. The health ministry was paying well above market prices for the equipment, which is unusual for such a large customer with buying power. Philips was selling the defibs to Rizzi for $10,000 per unit, and then Rizzi was selling them to the health ministry for $16,700 per unit, a big premium. And then it hit me. Perhaps someone in the health ministry was being bribed in order to get the contracts, and these 2 companies were working together to inflate prices to recoup the costs of the bribes. I was very concerned with what I might have discovered, so I met with Caroline Visser, the head of global compliance at Philips. She promised me a swift investigation into the potential corruption. However, 2 months on, I was demoted and transferred, and the shipments continued. Could it be Philips was trying to silence me? I decided to go a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole, and I found that instead of Rizzi dealing directly with Philips, it used an intermediary company called Moses Trading to purchase the Philips defibs. So I traced the Moses Trading address on the Philips invoice, and it led me to a private home on a golf course in suburban Phoenix. Now I was sure Philips would hear me out. I was wrong. I then emailed the CEO of Philips Healthcare Division, Steve Ruskowski, and presented my findings. I warned him that if Philips continued approving and accepting the sales from Rizzi, it would be involved in any illegal activity if discovered. Ruskowski wasn't interested. He just forwarded on the email to the chief legal officer, who replied asking me never to bother the CEO again. A few months later, I met with Carol one last time to plead with her, and then later that day I was fired for absolutely no reason. I was devastated and dropped the case. I couldn't fight it any longer. 10 years on, it turns out I was right. It was a massive bribery scandal involving Philips and many other large multinational companies. The FBI, DOJ and SEC were all involved in the investigation. The Brazilian prosecutors alleged these companies conspired with intermediaries to pay bribes for public contracts and then charged the state healthcare system inflated prices to recoup the costs of the kickbacks. Philips agreed to pay $11.6 million to resolve the bribery investigation. The information I provided was key in helping prosecutors break up the scheme. Thanks for listening to my story. So there you have it, guys. And Philips is not the only company who does these bribes, and it shouldn't come to a shock to us all. ResMed does the same thing, and the reason they do it time and time and time again, and they will continue to do it, is because they make too much money from doing it. 11.6 million, 70 million, it's a drop in the ocean for these big companies, and they make so much money bribing the healthcare officials, bribing the government officials for healthcare contracts, that it's just a little slap on the wrist. It's business as usual. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye. G'day mates, this video is sponsored by Sleep HQ. Upload, review and share your detailed CPAP reports with anyone from anywhere. Visit sleephq.com and join our free community today.